All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Passion Works 101 with Patrice Live.
And Kendra R.
Yes, we are here today and we have such an amazing topic. We were thinking about different topics that we wanted to bring up in terms of being a creative, and one of them most definitely is touring. And so this episode is called Touring Like a Pro, and we have none other than the drummer extraordinaire, Mr. Aaron Spears.
What's happening?
Welcome.
Yes, thanks
All right.
for coming on Passion Works 101. We're so excited to have you because this is a topic that's different for us.
Yeah.
Right? So,
I think, we try to start off and we like to talk about what is our experience with that. Honestly, between the two of us, I can say that I've done spot dates in different cities and different towns and different areas, but as far as touring, we've just done spot dates. What about you?
yeah, I think my tour consisted of starting in DC and going to one place and coming back home. That was when I opened for Brandy,
Okay.
and I was like, yeah, we gotta leave, and then we're gonna go to Charlotte, and that was my tour, and then I was back home
Okay.
for 3 days. So that's about it. So we don't have much experience, so we're gonna pull on you. To
Hey,
really give
I
us
think
that.
this is perfect for that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
for
say
sure.
that's a lot. That's a lot more than a lot of people are able to say that they've been able to do, though. For real.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
true.
true.
That's true. We appreciate it.
So let's go ahead and turn the spotlight on you. This is kind of going to be like a trifold question. So I kind of want to know, like, when did you get your first professional tour? So when, who was it for, and then how did you get that gig?
All right. So for me, my first tour was with Usher, and that was at the end of 2003.
Okay.
2003, I got the call. Just about they asked me if I was interested, in doing the gig. A friend of mine named Gerald Hayward, who was a drummer. At that time, he played with like Mary J. Blige. He played with Destiny's Child. He played
Mhm.
he played with a lot of different people. And Gerald was just like listening to the Get In Band project that I worked on with.
Oh,
Okay.
right. With
So
Warren.
he was listening to in his hotel room, listening to Get In Band. And when he's listening to the band, Usher's musical director, who was a good friend of his, happened to just walk into his room and was like, "Yo, this band is jam. Hey, who is that on drums?"
Mm.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yo, that's my boy Aaron. Why? What's up?" And he was like, "Yo, Usher, we're looking for a new drummer. Do you think your dude can handle it? Do you think that he would be, up for it?" And they called me and asked me, and I for real, I thought they was joking.
Yeah.
I didn't know they was, there's not like a handbook on how this happens or how it's
Right.
supposed
Yes.
to happen.
Yeah.
It happens different ways. Sometimes people go to auditions, the cattle call auditions. Sometimes they're referred. Sometimes they just get a call and to say, hey, this is the get. It happens a lot of different ways. So for me, this was the first kind of introduction I had really to anything in that world. I would say, I had
Yeah.
gotten a call about playing for Jennifer Lopez, maybe like a year or so before, but that didn't happen. It
Mhm.
was just like a call. Hey, are you interested? And
Mhm.
nothing happened from it. So for me, when I got this call, I was just kind of like thinking, oh, this is probably the same sort of thing. It's
Mhm.
probably not going
Yeah.
to really happen. I'm interested. If it's real, let me know what
Mhm.
up. And things actually started to kind of move in motion. Like they asked me to submit a videotape of myself playing. I did what they asked me to do, and my videotape was one of about I want to say maybe like a hundred tapes or so that came in,
Wow.
Mm.
and they selected me to be his drummer, and that was 2003.
That's
Wow.
awesome. I would
And
like to note that just means that even when you're doing your own stuff, you never know who will hear,
Mhm.
because you say I'm a fan of Gideon Band and Warren, that's my guy. So
okay.
I'm thinking like, okay, y'all at the time y'all were just recording because y'all were doing your own thing, and your friend just happened to listen, and it
Yeah,
just happened to be like that. So that just is definitely a point to make sure that you always do your best no matter what you're doing, because you never know.
you have to, because I mean, you just never know. You never know who's watching. You never know
Yeah.
who's listening, and even you never know who the person is connected to that's listening,
Right.
Right.
watching.
Right.
It might
Right.
be a referral, and someone might say, "Yo, I just heard this drummer play. This dude was was fantastic. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
really? And they mentioned that
Yeah.
to Stevie Wonder's daughter.
Right. Right. Right.
Like, oh
Right.
man, let me check this dude out. Okay,
Yes.
cool. I mean,
Absolutely.
you never know. So you always want to
Yeah.
kind of put your best foot forward for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you
Right.
kind of answered the next question, which was in your experience now after that first one, like what was the best way for a musician to get a gig like that or to get into the touring side? But I guess to add to that, like now that you've served in that capacity and now that we're, years later, what do you think now is the best way for somebody to get some touring experience now at this point?
I think networking is the best way. It's just about being able to kind of communicate with other people that are doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily saying like you gotta link and connect with a bunch of drummers, but just people that are musicians, and
Mm-hmm.
not just the musicians. Also people that are like tour managers and people that
Right.
are just kind of connected in the industry that you want to be
Mhm.
in. I think it's
Right.
important to be able to kind of like lock in with them and connect with them and talk with them. And then also, it's important to show that you actually have the ability and the skill to do what it is that needs to be done. You know what I mean?
Right.
Okay.
All of that
Yeah.
is I think that's extremely important.
Sure.
Right. That's good.
I was gonna just ask real quick. I know we have one more question.
Mhm.
People always say that, right? Like networking. I would assume that you mean like maybe sometimes you go to a rehearsal with a friend, or you go to other people's shows, not just your own.
Mhm.
And nowadays, obviously, following people on
Right.
social
Social
media
media.
and
Mhm.
interacting and commenting on their stuff. So I just wanted to be specific because we know that
Yeah.
everybody is always like networking, and I'm like, some people
Yes.
don't know how to network, but I was, yeah,
You know, Networking back then was so different
Mhm.
yeah,
from what it is now. Like then it was really about, you go to a concert,
Mhm.
you meet the people behind the scenes, you talk to them, you explain to them what it is that you're doing. It was kind of like a interview, like an unofficial interview. You know what I mean?
Right.
right,
In
Yep.
addition to you letting them know what it is that you do, then you have the person that actually brought you there who's vouching for you to say,
Mhm.
right,
"Oh, this is my guy. Like, bro,
Mhm.
right,
he's my
Mhm.
right,
folks,
right,
yo. He can really play.
Right.
right,
This is where he's from. He's looking at, it was kind of like, like that was kind of like the vibe then. Now it's different.
Mhm.
Now, social media is really what it is. Like you have so many people that put themselves out there. They're constantly, posting videos and they're playing and, just kind of gathering, followers and likes
Mhm.
and things like that, which is the networking that kind of takes place now. It's definitely more so, on your devices as opposed to personal. The problem with that I see with the social media aspect is this: people can see you're playing, which is fantastic, but they don't
Mhm.
see your character.
Mhm.
I
So
was
That's
just
true. That's
about to
true.
say
so
that.
it's crazy
Yes,
because it's like you can be like the most talented, incredible musician in the world,
Yes.
yes,
but like your personality sucks.
yeah,
You don't talk to people, right. You don't show respect.
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
And you
you
won't
know,
know that until
And
you
you
meet
won't
that
know.
person.
I
you don't know,
remember,
you got a hygiene
yeah,
problem. I mean, it could be
yeah,
it could be it could be
yeah,
so many things that makes a
yeah.
person not want to be around you.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's
And
real
so
talk. Hmm.
so back then, the approach was fantastic because of course you're going to be introduced to people by someone who is also like-minded like you. So they're like, oh, if
Mhm.
that's what you about, oh, then I know your boy probably gonna be on the same thing,
Right,
or your
right,
girl
Yes.
gonna be on the
absolutely.
same vibe. Okay, cool,
Yeah,
that's what's up. Now it's like you see somebody on social media and they are just incredible at what they do. However, you did not know that they were a weirdo, you know,
Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
that's
and
facts.
bring
Yeah.
them around and
Yeah,
they just cuss everybody out
Yep.
and
yeah,
make people uncomfortable
yeah.
and they stink. I don't
Yeah.
know. You know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
So
we know you can't stink if you want to get vouch. If you want Aaron Spears about you, you can't stink. So
Nah,
nothing.
hey, you gotta take care of yourself a little bit, you
yeah.
know?
Facts. Especially musicians. One thing I know that a lot of musicians sometimes like you're still a performer. So even if you are playing for Usher or J Lo or whatever, sometimes they need to. I mean, because I'm out in the front, right? But like sometimes I need a break, or sometimes it's a bad angle, or sometimes I'm doing something and then the audience may be looking at you. So dress well, groom yourself, look like something. But
Hey man,
that's just me.
it's at the end, it's show business at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for
And
sure.
it's like you gotta make sure that you represent yourself. You also have to make sure that you represent the people that you are, you're working with.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
Yep, that's
absolutely.
good stuff.
yeah.
What would you say are some of the challenges with touring, or some mistakes that you or some of your peers have encountered when touring?
Oh man. I mean, there's so many things, man. Like difficulties now compared to when I first started. One of the things that was really tough was just keeping in touch with your family, keeping in touch with your friends.
Mm-hmm.
So my first tour, like I said, with Usher, like end of 2003, beginning 2004, right around Confessions, like I was overseas my first tour, so
Oh, that's big.
yeah, so for me it was crazy because it's my first time outside the United States. And back then, smartphones didn't really exist like that. They weren't
Mm-hmm.
popular like
Yeah.
that. So we had calling cards, so you had like a calling card where you would kind of like scratch off the number and you'd be able to call home. You would go to the store, you would
Right.
buy them, but it was a totally different way to keep in touch.
Yeah.
Then you went from that. I'll never forget. We were posted up in London for like maybe a week or so. We had like a week off in London, which is fantastic. But I remember keeping in touch and calling home. I was calling from the hotel phone because it was just easier until the bill came. I mean,
Ooh.
the
Wow.
bill was something like maybe 700 pounds. And
Wow.
during that time, the pound was a lot stronger. So that was almost like maybe $1,400,
Good
which
I was
was
gracious.
about to say, I feel like
which
the pound was like almost double. Yeah.
yeah,
Ooh.
it was about double back then. So a lesson that I learned, very early on is you can't do that. You got to figure out.
That's very simple. You can't
If
do
I
that.
want to be able to bring some money home at the end of the day, then
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
something that I can't
Yeah.
do. You
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
know, touring, for me again, like during that time, I was making more money than I had ever made before in
Mm-hmm.
my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was like all of a sudden I've got this huge influx of money and I can spend it on whatever I want. So
Yeah.
I'm buying clothes, I'm buying
Yeah.
sneakers, I'm buying, I mean, I had to buy another suitcase because I had purchased just so much stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
The problem with that is when the tour was over and done, I want to say I've had probably like maybe 2 checks left. You
Oh
know,
Wow.
wow.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, that was enough to hold me down for, maybe a few months, uh,
Right.
back at home. But
Right.
really, like all this money that I had nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
good.
so glad. Listen, we're like in a way we're like trying. I want you to speak about this kind of stuff. This is the whole point of this,
Right.
like for you to be able to say this, so
Yeah.
that people understand. Like, yeah,
Like,
yes. Oh
yes.
my gosh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's cool to be able to make the bread and to be able to yeah, all of that, that's fine. But at the end of the day, the gigs they come in waves.
Yep. That's right.
So, you can be like up top and then all of a sudden there's nothing.
Yep.
So
yeah,
when
Yep.
you're up top, you got to make sure that you kind of plan for the
Yep.
quiet times. It's feast or famine. So you got to make sure that you are prepared for
Yep.
when there's
yeah,
nothing coming in and you're still able to be comfortable. So you can't just spend everything off the break. Like you
that's
can't
right.
spend
That's it.
everything that you make. So that's definitely a lesson that I personally had to learn.
Yeah,
Yep.
Like I said, with the way that communication is now, it makes it so much easier to stay in touch. Via either my computer or my iPad, my smartphone. Especially if I have Wi-Fi, it's easy. It's cake to
yeah,
be able to just press a button and then
Mm-hmm.
see my family and see my loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Those to me were challenges. You know, budgeting to make sure that I'm on point spending wise, and then also just being able to communicate with those people that I love. You know, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
those things were definitely difficult. You know,
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
moving and touring and doing, you know, doing
Yeah.
Yeah.
such.
I couldn't have said that better
Man,
myself.
this is the point
Gigs
of the
come
flat.
in waves.
Yes.
That is perfect.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes.
And it's crazy because we'll have an episode with we'll have a few episodes with a financial expert. I feel like finances is such a big deal and you have to break it up into smaller pieces. So we have somebody coming that's going to talk about finances and, you know, taxes and stuff that we've experienced too as musicians being 1099. So we're grateful for the time you've given us today. I know you are a very busy man, so thank you so much for coming on. We may call you back again to give us some
Holla at
more
me.
tea, give us
Hey,
some more stuff, but
look, hey,
we
I'll
definitely
be around. Sharing is
yes.
caring.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
Well,
you so
thank you so
much.
much for joining us on Passion Works 101. Again, we have Mr. Aaron Spears. Give it up for Mr. Aaron Spears. And anything you want to share social media wise, we should follow you, any projects you have coming up?
You can follow me on Instagram. It's A Spears. You can follow me on Facebook. It's Aaron Spears Official.
Okay.
Follow me on Twitter, A Spears.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's pretty simple. Pretty easy.
Pretty simple. Good. All right.
Thank you
well,
so
thank
much,
you so much.
Aaron.
Have a great day.
My pleasure, man. You guys take care, all right?
All right, you too.
too.
Bye-bye.